Welcome. Now, if you look at the last 500 years of history, there's always been a European country that goes outside of Europe and engages in wars elsewhere. Whether it's Britain, Spain, or France, they always took their armies to places like India, Africa, or South America. For the first time in 500 years, we are seeing a non-European country, an Asian country, sending its soldiers to fight in Europe. You could argue that during World War II, many Indian soldiers also fought, but those decisions were made by the British government. It wasn't India's decision to send Indian soldiers to Europe. But in North Korea's case, despite whatever government they have, elected or unelected, their government itself has made the decision. And for the first time in 500 years, we are seeing Asian soldiers participating in a decisive war in Europe. South Korea is warning the world today that North Korea's actions could spark a major global conflict. 12,000 North Korean soldiers have been deployed to participate in the Ukraine-Russia war, and these soldiers are not going there for peace negotiations. They are going to fight on Russia's side. You can find articles on this from BBC and CNN. Initially, people thought South Korea might be lying because if you ask North Korea, they officially deny sending their soldiers. But once CNN started showing videos of North Korean soldiers arriving in Russia and being armed by the Russians, the world was shocked, and people began to genuinely believe that this could turn into a global conflict. Keep in mind, if North Korean soldiers have reached Russia, it wouldn't be surprising if other countries like Poland, France, Germany, and even the United States, a NATO country, start sending their soldiers to Ukraine in response. You can see here, these are the North Korean soldiers who have arrived in Russia in large numbers. It is being reported that by November 1st, they will be deployed on the front lines. First, they will familiarize themselves with Russian army battle formations and how the Russian army operates. And if you're wondering if they can learn all this in such a short time, absolutely, they are trained soldiers. Remember, Russia had sent many of its citizens with little military training to the front lines under conscription, including some Indians who had gone to Russia looking for jobs and were signed up incorrectly to fight on the front lines. So, in 15 to 20 days, they will easily prepare these trained North Korean soldiers to fight against Ukraine. If you're asking whether North Korea has enough soldiers to defend itself against South Korea and also send thousands of soldiers to Russia, let me tell you, just this week, North Korea's government claimed that 1.4 million young people between the ages of 18 and 24 have voluntarily enlisted in the North Korean army. Of course, many of these soldiers may be around 18 years old, but if you look at North Korea's total active military force and reserves, because military training is compulsory in North Korea, you could say that North Korea has the largest army in the world if you count paramilitary forces too. North Korea's paramilitary numbers are staggering, around 5.7 million. Additionally, they have 1.28 million active military personnel and about 600,000 in reserve. In comparison, the USA has around 1.3 to 1.4 million in active military personnel. So North Korea has enough soldiers to comfortably make Russia the second largest army in the world. Now, you might wonder, why does Vladimir Putin want this? Well, articles have started to be published recently about how Putin has ordered the expansion of the Russian army. Putin wants to keep adding soldiers to the Russian army, whether they are Russian villagers who are unemployed and looking for jobs or soldiers from North Korea, Syria, or other countries. He wants to turn the Russian military into the second largest active army in the world after China. You might ask if all these soldiers that Russia is gathering are making a difference on the ground. The answer is yes. Russia is making steady advances in eastern Ukraine. I wouldn't say they're close to Kyiv, Ukraine's capital, yet, but Volodymyr Zelenskyy is very nervous because, while only 12,000 North Korean soldiers have arrived so far, North Korea could easily send hundreds of thousands more soldiers to Russia. If these soldiers arrive in record numbers, Ukrainian soldiers will definitely face problems. That's why Zelenskyy has said that this is the first step toward a world war. According to him, we are on the brink of a world war, as European soldiers will soon arrive in Ukraine, and U.S. involvement is expected to increase. After that, it wouldn't be surprising if Russia's allies in Central Asia send their armies too. There's a possibility that Ukraine could become a battleground, with many countries fighting on its soil. This new global war that we're talking about would involve NATO on one side, and on the other side would be CRINK, a new acronym that stands for China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. These four countries are being seen as the new axis of evil by the Western countries. Many countries, like India, want to stay out of this because this is shaping up to be a major global war where many countries will clash with each other. So remember, this acronym CRINK will be in the news a lot, and it wouldn't be surprising if China eventually sends its army to Russia to fight if the situation worsens. This topic will stay in the news for a long time, as a new geopolitical power has risen, CRINK. I will continue bringing updates on this issue with more videos in the future,